We hurried to the door, and my jaw dropped in astonishment when I saw Uncle James standing on the doorstep. James? Aunt Lily exclaimed, her voice laced with surprise. What are you doing here? Where's Mom? He inquired, his gaze sweeping across the room before settling on me. Julie? He said softly, a hint of warmth in his voice. I hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to react. He approached me, pulling me into a warm embrace and ruffling my hair affectionately. Are you alright? He asked. Yes, I am, I replied, a blush creeping up my cheek. Grandma is in the shop, I informed him. Shall I call her? Nope, I'll go see her myself, he said, a determined glint in his face. You guys carry on. Aunt Natasha, however, had other plans. I'm not going to let you see Mom alone, she declared, following Uncle James down the path. Meanwhile, I waited impatiently for the elders to return. My curiosity piqued. But I couldn't bear the suspense any longer, so I rushed to the shop, my heart pounding with anticipation. As expected, the atmosphere was thick with tension. However, upon seeing me, Uncle James's face broke with a wide smile, chasing away the gloom. I don't care if you like it or not, he declared, his voice firm yet playful. I'm going to spend time with my darling niece here. Really? I exclaimed, my eyes widening in disbelief. You're going to live here with us? Yes, he confirmed, his smile broadening. Since you can't come to the city, I'll now stay here for a few days and will come to visit you very often from now on. That's fantastic, Uncle James, I exclaimed, jumping with excitement. The news filled my heart with an overwhelming joy. The excitement of Uncle James's arrival overshadowed my lingering negativity from Grandma and Aunt Natasha. I could sense their disapproval, but it no longer mattered. I knew with a certainty that surprised even myself that things would eventually fall into place. With Aunt Natasha's constant presence looming over me, Uncle James's arrival felt like a breath of fresh air. He was true to his words, spending every available moment with me. He became a true friend, a mentor, and a source of unwavering support. He would drop me off at school, bring me captivating books, and even surprise me with delicious homemade meals. But what truly touched me was his genuine interest in my writing. That's incredible, Julie, he said, his eyes twinkling as he read a short story I had written. The way you write is truly remarkable for your age. Never give up on your writing. I have no doubt you'll achieve great things. Tears welled up in my eyes. Until that moment, I had craved external validation, a belief in my abilities that I thought I would never find. His words, so simple yet profound, ignited a fire within me. Thank you, Uncle James, I whispered, my voice choked with emotion. I've always dreamt of becoming a writer, but I never truly believed it was possible for someone like me. Your encouragement has changed everything. Now, I'm determined to turn my dreams into reality. That's great, Julie, Uncle James said, ruffling my hair affectionately. Always believe in yourself. And let me know if you ever need anything, alright? I nodded, a wide smile spreading across my face. Since Uncle James was friends with Ruru's dad, the four of us spent many wonderful afternoons together, our laughter echoing through the house. Meanwhile, Grandma and Aunt Natasha seemed to grow increasingly distant, their disapproval of Uncle James's presence palpable. One day after school, I hurried to the shop to grab Uncle James's favorite mango pickle. Grandma, I'm taking the mango pickle, okay? I said, eager to share with Uncle James. Take, take whatever you like, she replied, her voice laced with chilling indifference. Why are you even asking? You have changed. The evil man has managed to turn you against us. You hate us, don't you? No, Grandma. Why would you think that? I protested, hurt by her accusation. I don't hate you. Uncle James is a kind and wonderful person. He has never spoken ill of you. All right, she scoffed, dismissing my words. You'll understand yourself once you see his true colors. God, I exclaimed under my breath, exasperated by her stubbornness. How can she be so cold about her own son? I left the shop, her words still lingering. Back at home, Uncle James and Ruru were waiting for me, their faces beaming with excitement. Ruru stood up, a mischievous glint in her eyes, her hands clasped behind her back. Guess what I've got for you? She teased. What? I asked. My curiosity piqued. I looked at Uncle James for a clue, but he only shrugged his shoulders playfully. His lips curved into a knowing smile. Close your eyes, Ruru instructed. I closed my eyes, trying to suppress my growing excitement. Ruru gently pulled my hand and placed a small envelope in my palm. Now, open your eyes, she whispered. I opened my eyes and stared at the envelope, my heart pounding. I carefully tore open the tip and pulled out a thick sheets of paper. As I unfolded them, my jaw dropped in astonishment. I jumped up and down, giggling uncontrollably. It was a pass to the biggest book fair taking place in the city for 5 days. You know what? There will also be a seminar where famous writers would come, Ruru announced, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Is it for real? I exclaimed, disbelief and excitement battling with me. Ruru replied, a mischievous glint in her eyes. We both jumped up and down, whooping with joy. Did you get the tickets, Ruru? I asked, breathless. Yes, I did, she grinned. But the credit goes to Uncle James. He's arranged the whole trip. Whole trip? I echoed, my jaw dropping. Yes, she confirmed. We'll visit the city for 5 days. We'll attend the seminar for a day or two and then explore the other exciting places. What do you say? Oh my god, for real? Is it even possible? I gasped, pinching myself to make sure I wasn't dreaming. Yes, honey, Ruru assured me, her smile widening. What about school? I asked, a slight tinge of worry creeping in. I'll talk to your teacher, Uncle James interjected, his voice calm and reassuring. But make sure you guys work extra hard to catch up once you return. We nodded. Does that mean we leave tomorrow evening? I squealed, barely able to contain my excitement. Yes, yes, Uncle James confirmed, his eyes twinkling with amusement. Get your things ready, alright? Yes, I will, I exclaimed, throwing my arms around him in a tight hug. Thank you, Uncle James. You're most welcome, dear, he chuckled, returning the hug. We screamed with delight, our laughter echoing through the house. We were so caught up in the excitement that we completely failed to notice Aunt Natasha glaring at us from corner of the room. Looking at her, a shiver ran down my spine. I couldn't shake off the uneasy feeling that lingered in the air. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual, brimming with excitement. I headed straight to the shop and quickly cleaned it, eager to make things easier for Grandma while I was away. Then I returned home and prepared a delicious lunch for everyone. Aunt Natasha, I said brightly, you better help Grandma when I'm gone, all right? She rolled her eyes, a sarcastic remark playing on her lips. Yes, go enjoy yourself, selfish girl, she muttered. What? How am I selfish? I exclaimed, my voice rising. Don't I have right to enjoy myself? I can't shift to the city on Natasha, but at least I can visit them once, can't I? Of course you can, she replied. But why do you have to go when your grandma isn't well? Couldn't you wait until she was feeling better? What do you mean? Grandma's not well? She was doing fine yesterday. No, she wasn't, and Natasha replied, her voice sharp. The old woman has been working day and night, and she hurt her back. And you were so lost in your selfish motives that you didn't even pay attention to her, she added, her voice stinging. Grandma's hurt? She's home? I gasped, my heart sinking. Yes, and Natasha snapped, confirming my worst fears. I raced towards Grandma's room, my mind reeling. Grandma, what's wrong? You not well? I asked, my voice filled with worry. Grandma's face was pale, her brow furrowed in pain. I'm all right, dear, she said, her voice weak. It's just that I'm not able to move properly. I seem to have hurt my back. When did you hurt your back? I cried. And why didn't you tell me? Guilt, guilt washed over me in a tidal wave. How could I have been so oblivious? How could I have planned a fun trip while my grandma was suffering? What are you thinking, honey? Grandma said, her voice surprisingly calm. Just go. Have a great trip. And Natasha is here to take care of me. No, not at all, I insisted, my voice firm. I'm not going anywhere. I wouldn't be able to enjoy myself knowing that you're in pain. Just then, I heard Ruru calling my name. I stepped out of the room, my heart heavy. Hey, I said, my voice subdued. It didn't take Ruru a second to notice that something was wrong. Hey, are you okay? She asked, her eyes filled with concern. I'm sorry, Ruru, I said, my voice thick with emotion. We'll have to cancel the trip. Uncle James, standing in the doorway of Grandma's room, looked concerned. And why is that so, Julie? Is everything alright? He asked, his voice laced with worry. Grandma's not well, Uncle James. She hurt her back and can't move properly. Annoyance flickered across his face. What? How come she suddenly become unwell when you're about to leave? Couldn't she pretend to be ill some other day? Why now? He blurted out, his voice sharp. What are you saying, Uncle James? She's in pain. That's his real face, dear Julie, and Natasha interjected, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Cold and mean. Ignoring her, Uncle James entered Grandma's room. We followed him anxiously. What is this drama, Mom? He demanded. She's not going forever. I'm taking her just for a few days. At least spare her this moment of joy. Let her experience the world. What nonsense are you talking about? Grandma retorted, her voice weak. I have no problem. Take her. I'm not stopping anyone. Just leave everyone. Leave? Uncle James exploded, his anger evident. Now, do you think she'll be able to leave seeing you in this so called hurt state? Oh, come on, you brat, Aunt Natasha sneered. Why don't you leave? Can't you see how miserable she is? Uncle James remained silent for a moment, his jaw clenched. Then his anger erupted. Stop manipulating her, he roared. Let me tell you, I know what you're up to. If you truly loved this kid, you would have let her go. You would have worried about her well being and her future. You're nothing but a selfish woman, so stop acting. Grandma, visibly shaken, closed her eyes and ignored his outburst. All right then, let's see how badly you're hurt, Uncle Jim said coldly. He reached for Grandma, his movements brisk and forceful. He grasped her arms and with a sudden jolt tried to pull her upright. Grandma's face contorted in pain. She gasped, her face turning a sickly shade of green. Mom! And Natasha cried, rushing towards her. I couldn't believe my eyes. Witnessing Uncle James's violent outburst made me recoil in disgust, and I spat on him in disbelief. How dare you! Are you out of your mind, Uncle James? I rushed to Grandma's side, assisting Aunt Natasha in gently lying her down. Tears streamed down Grandma's face, but she couldn't even cry in pain. The sight of her suffering was heartbreaking. The tension in the room was so palpable, Ruru quietly left. You're naive, Julie, Uncle James sneered. You have no idea how trapped you are. Stop it, James! Aunt Natasha interjected, her voice trembling with anger. Have you no shame? You talk about selfishness. Where were you when Mom needed you the most? Your career, your ambitions, they consumed you. You never cared about any of us. I had reached my limit. Thank you for your concern about my future, Uncle James. It means a lot that you've come such length to take me away. But I'm not going anywhere. I'm sorry. I won't abandon my grandma. She's my world. Her happiness is my happiness. Please leave, I declared. I understand your feeling, dear. He sighed, a hint of resignation in his voice. I won't force you. But if you ever change your mind, I'll be here. You're free to make your own choices. Just remember, don't let vague obligations dictate your life. I know you love your grandma deeply, but a fulfilling future is important too. Only by pursuing your dreams you can truly find happiness and be able to share it with others. Don't let your kindness consume you. With that, he turned and left. The events unfolded so quickly, it left me stunned and speechless. Grandma, please try to relax, okay? I soothed, kissing her hand. You'll be all right. We are here for you. Thank you, sweetie, she whispered weakly. I called the local doctor who'd prescribed some medication and advised Grandma to rest. Later, I sought solace on the cliff with Ruru. This place always held a calming magic for me, a sense of peace that washed over me. I shared my anxieties with Ruru. What do you think, Ruru? I asked. Did I make the right decision by sending Uncle James away? Julie, I know this is difficult for you, Ruru began. But there is something about this situation that feels off. Have you noticed how cautious Grandma has been about letting you go to the city? Every time you've tried to visit, something always seems to happen to her. And Uncle James, he's a good man. He would never hurt anyone. He clearly cares deeply about you. He went out of his way to help you, even though he's a busy man. He even faced his own mother who abandoned him for your sake. What do you mean? I asked, confused. If Grandma truly loves you, she'd be thrilled to see you chase your dreams, Ruru declared. But she's more concerned about herself. It's time to prioritize your own happiness, Julie. You constantly sacrifice your aspiration for her, yet she always makes you feel inadequate. I even heard she's keeping you around for your parents' money. My blood boiled. How dare you say that? I demanded, my voice trembling with anger. Just because I confide to you doesn't mean you have the right to make such a vile accusation about my family. What do you know about us? I sought your advice, not your judgmental opinions. Are you insane? You're disgusting. Julie, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you, she stammered, her voice cracking. I just. I see things you don't. I care about you. You're incredibly talented, but your kindness is holding you back. That's all. Stop it! If you were a true friend, you'd never say such things, I retorted, storming off. Ruru's words left me feeling utterly devastated. Why did everyone has to speak ill of Grandma? She's always been there for me, a constant in my life. How could they judge her without even knowing her? All I wanted was to go and comfort her. I returned home and headed straight to Grandma's room. As I approached, I overheard Aunt Natasha's voice. I couldn't resist eavesdropping. Why don't you let that brat go with James? Aunt Natasha demanded. What's the point of keeping her here? It's a huge expense you can barely afford. Shut up, you fool, Grandma snapped. She's not an expense. She's an investment. What do you mean? Aunt Natasha pressed. She's a golden goose waiting to be plucked, Grandma declared. What are you talking about? Aunt Natasha exclaimed impatiently. You wouldn't understand. You're too naive, Grandma scoffed. There is a substantial inheritance waiting for her when she turns 18. Her parents left her a fortune, and whoever raised her will receive 30% of it. Millions. I can't let her go now when I'm so close to reaping the rewards. I've endured that child's nonsense for years. I won't let my efforts go to waste. Wait, are you saying? And Natasha trailed off, a mischievous glint in her voice. What do you think? Grandma chuckled. Oh my god! And Natasha exclaimed, bursting into laughter. You cunning old woman! So you are keeping this from me. You don't plan to give me my fair share, do you? She demanded. No, you're too loud to keep a secret like this, Rana chuckled. Of course, I'll give you your share. You're my girl after all. They both let out a wicked laugh. So that means I have to treat her well too, and Natasha declared. You better. I stood there utterly speechless, unable to comprehend what I just overheard. My entire world crumbled. Tears streamed down my face. I felt betrayed, deceived. How could the person I loved most do this to me? Was this even real? Overwhelmed with disbelief and despair, I fled to the cliff. I sobbed uncontrollably, gasping for air. How could she do this to me? The person I cherished above all else had been manipulating me my whole life. What had I done to deserve this? For the first time in my life, I wished my parents hadn't left. I lay on the cool grass, my sobs echoing through the air. Then a gentle hand touched my hair. I looked up to see Ruru. I clung to her, weeping uncontrollably. You didn't leave? I whispered, my voice choked with emotion. No, I couldn't. I felt terrible for hurting my best friend, she confessed, her voice trembling. We sat there for what felt like hours, me pouring my heart out to her. I'm sorry for my outburst, I apologized, looking into her tear filled eyes. No, silly. I'm the one who's sorry for being so insensitive, she replied softly. I sighed, feeling a heavy weight settle on my chest. Now what? She asked, her voice laced with concern. I don't know, I admitted, feeling lost. Didn't you say Uncle James told you to call him whenever you change your mind? She reminded me. Yes, but how can I call him now? I changed my mind within hours. It would be so embarrassing. Julie, you overthink everything, Ruru said gently. Just do it. With that, she pulled out a cell phone from her pocket. What? Where did you get that? It's not your dad's, I exclaimed bewildered. It's mine. Mom gave it to me for my birthday today. Ruru, it's your birthday today, I cried, remembering my complete lack of awareness. Yes, she smiled, despite the tears glistening in her eyes. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot. Today is your special day and I ruined it. Don't be silly. You didn't do anything wrong. Now call Uncle James. That will be your birthday present to me. I stared at her speechless. Just do it, she urged. Finally, I took up a breath and dialed. I felt an immense sense of relief wash over me. Thank you so much, Ruru. I'll never forget this, I said, hugging her tightly. Now let's go. It's getting late, Ruru said. Yes, good night, I replied, waving goodbye. I went to my room feeling a strange sense of calm. The next morning, Aunt Natasha's voice echoed through the house, unusually sweet. Julie, darling, come down. Breakfast is ready. What an act, I muttered to myself. Just then, I heard the familiar sound of a car pulling up in front of the house. I walked downstairs, suitcase in my hand, ready to leave. And Natasha and Grandma stood frozen, their jaws agape. The sight of the shark brought a strange sense of satisfaction. Uncle James approached me, a gentle smile gracing his lips. He took my suitcase from my hand. What's going on? Grandma exclaimed, her voice laced with panic. I'm leaving, I announced, my voice firm. What? What do you mean you're leaving? Grandma sputtered. I'm going with Uncle James forever, I repeated, my gaze unwavering. Their faces contorted in a mixture of shock and disbelief. What? You said you'll never leave your grandma. How could you change your mind? And Natasha demanded, feeling hurt. Don't worry, guys. I'll send you your share of fortune when I turn 18. But right now, I'm leaving with Uncle James. Both Aunt Lily and Grandma stood frozen, speechless, their carefully constructed facade crumbling. Goodbye, I said, my voice echoing with newfound confidence. I walked out of the house with Uncle James, my head held high. Outside, I embraced Ruru, pressing the cherished pickle recipe book into her hands. This is for you, I whispered. We exchanged promise to stay in touch, and then, with a final wave, I stepped into the car with Uncle James, embarking a new chapter in my life.